Hey, what's up, YouTube? Eddie back at it again. We're covering logic. You know how it goes every single day, 6 days a week. And this is all brought to you by Resources for the Modern Creative. If you want to know what we're up to today, well, last we checked in, we were working on smart controls. We just got up and running. And so today is really all about getting into the details. So if you want to learn about smart controls and you want to take your Logic Pro game to the next level, then stay tuned. Here we go. How you doing? What's up? How you doing? Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Gray at your service. We're broadcasting live from Los Angeles, the city of angels. I think I'm the only one left here. Everybody seems to be leaving town, and so we're gonna keep crushing it. We are the last ones standing. Let's keep it going here. And as always, regardless of what's going on outside of you, you want to make sure that you bring the energy from the inside out. You ready? Here we go. Let's go! Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Very good, my friends. Very good. I see that you're bringing your A game today, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And listen, we are free. We're working on the very best program in the world, and that's Logic Pro. And I give thanks for another day just like this. I give thanks for the opportunity to be able to sit in this chair, to stand on this floor, and to work on this program that's given me so much life, that's broadened my scope, my understanding. I feel privileged to be able to show you this information at this current moment. In this current wave that we're riding, I don't believe anybody in the entire world can show you the information that I'm about to show you today. With the experiences that I've been able to accrue the last couple of years and the amount of people that I've been able to contribute to, I feel truly blessed, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be here. So let's get into it. Let's learn about smart controls. Are you ready? I don't know. You tell me. Are you? All right. Then let's get into it. Look, it's really not that complicated. We're here every single day, Monday through Saturday. And if you want to stay up in the game, you want to stay in the momentum, then I highly suggest that you just hit that notification bell. All we ask in return for this amazing contribution is that you just share it with one person, right? So you found us somehow, and now you're into what we're doing, and you see the value, right? This is massive value that we're giving out. And so if you are seeing and feeling the value, then all we ask is that you share one time, go ahead and sub, and we'll call it even. Deuces. All right, cool. So look, I want to get into the program, but you got to remember that we need to get into beast mode. So before we go in, after you yell, you get yourself kind of pumped up, right? You get in that right state of mind. Then you got to remember to get into that beast mode. And that's kind of a little line. It's a very quiet beast mode. So we're going to make sure that we get into beast mode. There we go. Very good. All right. So I see that you're bringing your A game. You're in the right frame of mind, right? Your energy's up. And so we're going to get into the program. Let's go. All right. So today we're going to be editing the parameters that we were previously working on. What exactly are we looking at? Well, let me show you. Not only can you set a parameter such as high cut, pitch, volume, I mean anything, right? But you can set the parameters in which that is set to. For example, you can set a maximum value, right? So you think of a range, so you can tell the volume range, like, hey, I just want to go up this far, so that if you're performing an action, you don't need it to go all the way up to 6 decibels, say. You just need it to go up to 3. And so you can set a maximum and a minimum range, and then we can invert those values. And you'll come to find that this invert feature is indispensable when we're working with smart controls. So let's look at this next section here. We're going to use parameter mapping in Logic Pro. So let's check this out. There's something called a parameter graph, which you probably have never seen before. So let's read, and then we'll get into the deets. So it says here, in the parameter graph for each parameter mapping, we can scale the input values from the screen control to different output values. So essentially, we can determine how this moves. Is it gradual? Is it intense? The graph includes a series of preset curves, so they're making it easy. They've done most of the brunt work, right? So we can choose a preset. The graph for one mapped parameter can be copied and pasted to another. So let's say you find that sweet spot for that high cut, and you don't want to have to recreate it, right? You already did it once. You just copy paste that graph. You can also invert the range of values, or you can even reset the graph. So that's something that I will highlight to remind myself, hey, not only can I invert these values that we're about to set, but I can also reset that graph. All right, we're going to open the parameter graph. How do we do that? In the parameter mapping area, click the scaling button. All right, so we're going to open that, and we will find this graphic. All right, there are the presets on the upper left-hand side. You have the values. We talked about maximum and minimum. The ability to invert these, and you'll find how valuable this is in a second. You can reset, right? Use stepped editing, and then, of course, we talked about copy and pasting. So that's pretty sweet. What does it say here? The graph shows the range of input values on the X or horizontal axis moving from left to right, and the range of output values on the vertical moving from top to bottom, right? So that's the X, Y axis. In the graph window, you have several ways of working. You can edit the graph curve directly, set the graph to use one of the predefined curves. We talked about the presets on the top left, or change the minimum and maximum values. Okay, so we are going to get into this. Let's take you into the GUI. Let's go. All right, we're looking at Logic Pro. Let me check sound. Very cool. All right, so let's just say I wanted to play something in, just some basic idea here. Let's see. All right, let me record something. All right, good. So I'll go ahead and take this idea. I'll go into the region inspector on the top left here. We will quantize, and it's up to you how you want to do this. I've talked about the value of using smart quantize. Kind of splits the difference between the robotic version, everything perfectly on the grid, and then the human version, that which is faulty, if you will, right? A little bit not completely on the grid. And so if we look at my performance, let's see how this quantization method performed. So let's see, everything looks pretty solid. I don't know why it didn't perform as I would expect it to. Yeah, it looks exactly the same. Let me see, off. Okay, that is definitely easy to see. So again, Command A, smart quantize. Let's try again. Boom. Maybe this is just what it suggests. Let's hear it back. All right, it works for me. So that being the case, everything's quantized. Now I'm going to hit B. Now this is a third-party offering. Serum by X for Records, pretty popular synth. We know that if we use Logic stock plugins such as Alchemy, we get an entirely different user interface. Now again, we don't have to look at smart controls within the tracks area, the main window, right? We can hit B to access this view, but if you need something a bit more robust, I highly suggest you go to Window and you open up Smart Controls here. All right, I'm going to work within these parameters. And so then inside of Alchemy, we know that we can select the track itself, right? If we wanted to start customizing this setting, we could do that inside of the inspector. We're not going to do that now. They've already done the deep work for us. So let me play with the XY pad, the transform pad here in Alchemy. Take a listen. Okay, track number 2, I'm utilizing drum synth. The user interface for Smart Controls is fairly basic, and that's simply because the interface on drum synth is fairly easy. Really isn't much to it. If you look at it, we're just affecting a couple of key things. For example, pitch, shape, tone. So let's say we wanted the decay on this to be a lot shorter. Well, we can play with that either on the plugin itself, or we can use Smart Controls to basically move a little bit quicker, right? Again, if I hit the EQ tab on the right-hand side, this will instantiate an EQ inside of the channel strip. I'm curious if I hold Shift and I click on it, will it instantiate a linear EQ? Yes, it did. See, I didn't even know that, and I'm not even sure if that's on the manual, but just, you know, starting to really get to know Logic, like we have a bit of a thing. And so it's, you start seeing some of the same kind of relationship throughout all the various functions. And so that was just a wild guess, but it worked. Okay, so we're talking about the decay of this specific drum synth. And so what I'm going to do is play with the decay knob here, and let's see how it performs and how it sounds. Here we go. So this could be cool, right? Like for the first section, you can go ahead and play it short so that it chokes the note, and then when it gets past bar 5, then we can go ahead and increase the decay so we can get down. Check it out. So going back to some of my previous videos, if you've been watching the entire series, you guys know that first I'm going to cover this first section. I'll take any questions if there are any in the chat. If you want to ask personally, you don't want to kind of put yourself out there, go ahead and email us at support@hfmusicacademy.com. We're happy to create new content or just answer any questions that you may have available. Again, we're here to serve the next 10,000 modern creatives. We're serious about this mission. It's why we get up in the morning. We want to discover the new Mozart. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but we know that there's extremely talented people out there. I've met them, and I've seen too many people fail. I've seen too many people's dreams die, and I got to do something about it. And so if you know my story, look me up. I've been helping a ton of people, and this is why I'm here. This is why I will continue to be here, so that the mission gets completed. That's the most important thing, that we set out to do something, we put our minds to it, and then we're persistent, and we let nothing get in the way, nothing distract us, and we let nothing perturb our state of mind. We want to make sure that we complete what we set out to do. All right, so again, if you've been watching the series, we've been talking about automation extensively, right? Please go watch the last videos. The value is insane. When people really start to catch on to what's actually happening here, this is going to blow up. They're going to come in droves. So the fact that you're here now, I am telling you, this is an irresistible offer. Right? You're getting the best information first. Take advantage. Remember to take notes. So we're inside of automation. Now I'm going to turn on latch automation. I have that set to a key command. You don't have to do it that way. You could simply go to the channel strip and enable automation. Now we don't have to hit record. As soon as we hit play, any and all parameters that we adjust will start to record and embed themselves in the track. Here we go. All right, so you can see that I was performing those actions while latch automation was in play mode, meaning it was recording the metadata. And so now latch automation is no longer necessary. So we'll go back to the default mode, which is read. So I have that set up to Control, Option, Command, L. And so that's the workflow. Look how easy it is. This is what I want for you to become a Logic Pro power user, because that's what it's all about. When you have that relationship to the program, nothing can stop you. I've been able to win remix contests. I've been able to have the privilege of being a head composer on television shows, all because of my relationship to the program. I've been able to have had contracts with several publishers. I've sold songs to numerous establishments, which you would never think is even possible. Right? Thousands of dollars on the table, guys, tens of thousands of dollars, all because a relationship that I have to the program. So I want to help you get there. I want you to find your lane and your way of doing it. Okay? All right. So we've performed latch automation. We understand how Smart Controls has been pre-configured and pre-set up for all the Logic stock plugins. But what about the third-party plugins, Eddie? What about Serum? What about Arcade? I love Arcade. How do I get it to implement? How can I use Smart Controls with Silence, right? Okay, it doesn't matter which one you're using. Make sure you enable it. You can see I have Serum instantiated, and it's fairly simple at this point. Key command, B. You can also hit this icon on the top of the screen. Looks like a little rotary knob. All right, so we're pretty much good to go. The only point of confusion, if you don't have track selected, it's going to look a little different. It's going to look like this. So just make sure you have track selected, and then we're ready to rock. All right. At this point, I'm going to turn on the Smart Controls Inspector. How about that? Right? That's interesting. Smart Controls Inspector. I'm going to select the GUI that I like. Right? So I'll go ahead and there is no right or wrong, by the way. I mean, there are some, that are more applicable. I'll just go with, let's go Soundscape 10. Boom. All right. Looks good to me, right? It works. And again, I've talked to you the benefits of using the actual Smart Controls window, the layout, but I'm going to stay in this screen here. All right. And then at this point, let's go ahead and select an EQ. So we hit the button, right? We have an EQ. Awesome. And then I want to, let me open up that EQ. I have this set to a key command. Excuse me. And let's see. At this point, I'm going to tell Logic, hey, can you learn something? Learn something. I'm going to hit learn. This is now in key focus. You see the red highlighted circle around this unmapped parameter, in which case I'll click on that low cut and boom, there we go. We have low cut frequency. We've created a relationship between the software and the plugin parameter. Regardless if it's third-party stock, doesn't matter. The only difference is that with the Logic stuff, it comes pre-made. And if you want to change it, you can. This is why I love Logic. I always say this. Why did I choose Logic Pro? Because it's customizable like no other DAW that I know. And of course, I know that other DAWs are customizable. But I'm just saying this is the one that I know, and this is the one that I'm sticking to. All right, so we now know that if we turn the knob here, creates a relationship with that. So it doesn't matter if we are making the adjustment on the plugin or if we're making the adjustment here, it's the same thing. It's just MIDI information that's being kind of sent back and forth. So we have one mapping. If we wanted to add something else, we could. It's as simple as hitting the action gear menu and adding a mapping. Okay, so now we have two, right? So this is how we navigate the waters. So let's say I wanted to move this one. I could move it below. I think we can move it below here. Maybe it has to be mapped. Okay, maybe it has to be mapped. So let me click on this one. Now this is in key focus, yeah? And I'm going to say, hey, when I lower this one, I want something to happen here. Roger that. So what I'll do then is I'll click on this, which is the decibel for this first bandpass. So again, we're back in learn mode. It's on the same parameter because I'm adding a mapping, right? So now it has two parameter mappings. So I'll hit learn. I'll click on there. Okay, I've created a second relationship. So the first peak, the first bandpass Now I can increase the decibel just by raising this up. Check it out. All right, so you see how that works? Okay, cool. So what's interesting about this is, we'll be cutting off the low end, but then we'll be raising some of it up to compensate. And then, of course, at some point, it's all just going to fold. So let's see what this actually sounds like. And let's talk about one concept. Let me see if this is relevant here. Let's say I wanted this to maybe stop early. Like the full value is all the way down here, right? And that's not necessarily going to serve me. So maybe I change the maximum value to, let's see, I'll double click and enter a numerical value of 12, right? And so then I'll click and drag to the right. And I'm trying to see how I can change the maximum. Let me go to, let's try 0. Let's see if this affects the curve here. Okay, good. Nope, that looks exactly the same. So what do we have to do? Let me try inverting and see what that looks like. Okay, so the only difference here is this one, this peak gain, is going the other way, as you can see, whereas before it was going, now it's changed. Maybe that's because of this. I see what's going on. All right, good. So there's a bit of kind of experimentation that goes on here. So when the setting is set to max, you can see that it's going up. And if I set this down to 0, it looks like it's starting with a negative value and then kind of swiftly going up from there. So you got to play with these settings in order to really make them work. Let me try one more thing. So on, let's say this one here, I'm going to learn, let's do this one. Yeah. Actually, let's do this one. Okay. So then now I've clicked on peak gain. So let's see what this looks like. Okay. So that's pretty basic. Yeah. Negative value is there. And then let's say I want to invert so that when I go up, it goes down. The parameter goes down as far as the EQ goes. And then when I go down, it goes up, right? Because normally if we invert that, if I go up, it goes up, and if I go down, it goes down. But there are times where you're going to want that to change and shift. And so that's where I want you to start playing with that and learning how it moves. So let's go back to this maximum value. I think this will make a little bit more sense. So this time I'll say, hey, I only want a maximum value of 12. All right, so let's see what this yields. And as I go up, now previously when I went up, it was like way up there, right? But because I set a specific value there, it's not going up as high. See now? See how much higher that is? That's because I set a value. Let me set my max to 0. So what this means is that now it's basically starting out with a negative value, because in order to get to that maximum value of 0, which is just neutral, it has to start somewhere. So it's starting here, and then I go all the way up. So again, very detailed stuff. You're going to have to play with it to see what it is that you like. But let me go ahead and show you what this looks and sounds like in action. And I do want to change, let me see, this first one, and I want it to go up. So what did I do to invert? Oh yeah, here we go. So I'm going to set this value to positive 24, and then now this should go up first. Yeah, okay. So let's take a listen. By the way, this is happening on the synth. The synth sounds like this. Okay, good. So now you can kind of see what the idea is, right? So let's say the minimum range is going to be, I don't know, let's start off at 0 and let's see what happens. So then now, actually everything looks the same. I believe it's because I'm using low cut. So maybe a lot of these points are mute. Let me type in 12 here and see if this is affected. Nah, it looks exactly the same. So there's something going on here with low cut. I'm not able to determine the entire relationship. But anyway, I think you could see clearly what's happening with the value with this specific band. I can set how high or how low it goes, and then I can invert. Okay, so let's go to scaling. All right, so let's see here. Let me reset the value. So I'll go positive 24 on the right. So when I lift up peak 2 gain, it goes all the way up. When I lift it down, it goes all the way down. Okay. And of course, if we wanted to add the Q or how wide and how narrow it is, you can add a mapping. That's fine. But for now, I'm going to open up scaling. So now this is saying, hey, how do you want to pursue this? Do you just want to go straight up from -24 all the way up to +24, which is a value, MIDI value of 127? Or maybe do you want to kind of ease into it? So let's see the difference, like what happens here, all right? How does it change? So this is, you know, the minimum value, -24, and then I go up, okay, and I could see the graphic on the screen and what the relationship looks like. Finally, when we get to that around 1 decibel level, it now starts to perform its movement. And that's a very different user experience than utilizing this curve. See, here we start out same minimum value, but as we go up, it's going straight up. No hindrances, no obstacles, right? And so it just depends on what you're creating. Let's look at this S curve and how this behaves as a result of the S curve. So we start going up, slow moving, and then finally kind of speeds up here, and then boom, it just kind of topples over at the very top. So this is how you create your scaling, the way that the parameters are going to move. It's all the same values, but they're all moving a little bit different. And then as stated, you can make sure that these are stepped values as well. So it just depends on how you want to do it. So now this is a bit more crass, right? Or it's probably the wrong word. It's more like just drastic. I'm going from this curve, and then when we get in between 42 and 84, it's that curve and then that curve. So let's listen to this in action, actually. I kind of like that creatively. Not necessarily that band because there's too much air, but I definitely like these two a lot. Kind of cool. But anyway, that is what stepped editing is all about. So it's a much easier user interface. This is a bit more suave. And yeah, if we want to reset it all, let's just say we're like, yeah, this isn't working out. All right, cool. Just reset and we are back to square one. Okay. All right, option, click any part of the curve. Oh, we can also affect the curve, I believe. Yeah, check this out. You can actually, dictate how it moves. Like if you're like, no, I want it to move right away and then just gradually, move over time with this bit here. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would create slopes and whatnot, but maybe they'll let us know. But here, let's just watch how this moves. So again, minimum value, -24, starts up at the bottom of the scaling. And then as I go up, it goes up really quick, right? Because that's the way I designated it. And then I go up through here. It's going to take its time. And then finally, one last push to the top. Boom. Kind of like crypto, right? All right, cool. So everybody's clear, right? We now know how this works. We can select our own GUI, which is really remarkable. I've never seen another DAW use it. So if you want to affect the plugin in and of itself, we can click on that emblem right there, and that just will bring it up, right? That just brings it up. So it's not just an EQ that we're working with. I just wanted to show you something simple. You can go ahead and add, if you have any various plugins or anything, you can start adding it here. So for example, let's say I have a compressor instantiated, and I'm like, yeah, I want to add a mapping. And I want to get that compressor to crush this as it progresses. So then we'll select compressor, and I'll select the threshold. And so then now we're in effect making more moves, right? This time we're affecting the threshold. So as I lift this up, we would have to set it up properly. But basically now we're starting to connect the dots. So let's go here. I will learn on there. I think we got it. Did we get it? Maybe I'll just do it here just to be safe. I'm not even sure what happened there. Hold on. Let's do it again. Add mapping. All right, good. Compressor, threshold. All right, good. Let me close this and let's see, is this connected yet? Yeah. So you can see as I turn that knob, that threshold is doing its thing. Now remember, you have to set the minimum range and the maximum range. So for the compressor right now, we're looking at -50 and 0 being the maximum. So you're probably going to want to adjust that. And this is actually a good example of when you would invert, because if you guys know what a compressor does, you need to, hit the signal with the threshold. So it really doesn't behave this way. It behaves more like this, where you're touching the source sound. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a phenomenal course on it. You can go to hfmusicacademy.com or just search through YouTube and really learn the art of compression. I've got a beautiful course, which I believe to be one of the best, and it's called Cracking the Compressor Code. Okay, so now we've talked about how to map everything in full detail. You understand scaling. We understand the user interface and how to work it. So what else do we have? Page 630. We know that we can copy and paste these as well, which I've shown you where to locate that. So under scaling, you would copy the setting, go to another smart control. Let's pretend I'm, really involved with this one. I haven't done anything. So I guess I'll have to add, let's see here. And then rather than stepped editing, let me just paste it here. And then you can see I'm using the same curve as I was before. I should probably undo all this. Reset, yes. Cool. All right. What else you got for me? I'm just kind of sifting through this to see what we need to work on. Click the plugin window. I've showed you how to open these up. So we can open up the plugins from the parameter mapping row. If you want to rename a screen, when you map a screen control, we can do that. It takes the name of the parameter to which it is mapped. The screen control name appears in the Smart Control Inspector, and we can rename that. So let's say I wanted to rename this one. This is a bit of a dubious name. Fine. We can just say hello right there. Boom. All right. So then now we've renamed and customized our Smart Control experience suite at 630. Let's keep it going. Articulation IDs. I love this one. This is going to be great. In order to fully utilize this and make the most of this particular experience, I'm going to pull up some strings. So let me just do that as I play a little music here. All right, very good. So we've got Logic Studio strings. I've been opting mostly using Logic stock plugins. Obviously, we're reading the user guide, and so I want to honor the Logic Pro Power experience. For those of you that don't have that many third-party plugins, I don't know if I would recommend it right away. I think I would probably put most of my eggs in learning the program first, like really committing to it, like all the way, just really going for it. And then maybe thereafter, you can go ahead and start to discover the world of audio units, third-party plugins. But if you're just starting out, don't worry about it. Just really get your hands on this program and get into it, right? Just completely, just raw, crazy, persistent, non-hindered, unabashed energy. Just go, go, go. Okay, so we're about to change articulations. What do I mean by that? Well, this can be done in many ways, but probably best exemplified when using an instrument such as this. Okay, so as of now, we're listening to a very specific articulation, right? Just your basic sustain. But if I wanted to change this, look at the difference. Let's choose fall long. And so this allows our experience of not just creating the music, but listening to it to bring a sense of realism. And so what we'll do here is we'll select tremolo or something in that vein, and we're just going to add this to the song, and then we'll change the articulation in a split instant, and we'll use something else. Now, I'm not looking at the articulations here. I don't see anything. I see volume cutoff, and so I'm not sure if, I think we're just going to customize it, but here, just to be clear, I'm going to choose articulation set inside of the track inspector. In order to see this, remember that track number 5 has to be selected and in key focus, right? So notice my attention is here in the tracks area. This gives me the information that we see here. And then I will go ahead and select articulation set. Let's see, Logic, Studio Strings, and I guess I'll go with Studio Violins. Okie doke. So you'll notice that something happened. Key switches. Now, we went over this in the articulation chapter some time ago. Seems like a lifetime ago now. But this is another feature that you can utilize, but I'm looking to change articulations inside of this menu. All right, so we have smart controls open. Let's take it away. Some software instruments that, let me see you guys. Good. What's up? Eddie Gray reading the Logic user guide. Hope you guys are well. Happy Tuesday. I applaud you for being here, right? We're back in it again, and we're going to go all the way, no matter what. Let's go. Some software instruments that use the sampler software instrument. This would include drummers, okay, strings. That's why I pulled up strings. And other orchestral instruments provide multiple articulations. So the way that the instrument can be expressed or played back, right? You think of a harpist or a pianist. They have different ways, techniques, if you will, to play the instrument so that they bring the instrument to life. For patches containing these software instruments, you can map a screen control. So now we're talking about mapping on a software and on a hardware side, mapping a controller so we can change the articulation ID based on the performance, right? And this could be a live performance situation, and this could just be sitting behind the desk, producing, right, away from the cameras and doing your thing. And you're going to use this parameter mapping to change the note articulations. And this doesn't have to be orchestral. This could be, I don't know, a snare playing one style and then playing something else. Let me see. Strings, it applies. Brass, for example, right? You play staccato style, and then they would have another articulation such as, I'll fall, or I forget the name of when they this. So this is my terminology here. Need to work on it. But when they blow really hard on the brass, right? And so we'll get those proper names for you. But basically, it just depends on the instrumentation, right? And you can change the articulation. What matters is not all the names, and if you know the names, what matters is if you can make the music and you can get your music across. All right, so here we go. Map a screen control to the articulation ID parameter. Can you believe we're more than halfway done? So amazing. Let's keep this going. So we're going to select a screen control as it says right here, okay? And then we're going to switch between two valleys, select a button screen control to select between a range of valleys, select a knob or slider screen control. In the Smart Control Inspector, click the parameter mapping disclosure triangle, and basically we'll be able to switch back and forth based on, looks like, the range. All right, let's see if we can pull this off. So let me bring you guys in. Again, these are not rehearsed for a reason, right? We want to make sure that we learn how to troubleshoot together, right? So we're inside of Smart Controls. I should probably even just dismantle this altogether. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So cool. I'm going to go in here. I will just completely break it down. So I'm going to go soundscape 6. Boom. Okay, so this looks completely unrelated, doesn't it? Okay, so it says select a screen control. To switch between two values, select a button screen control. Oh, a button. To select between a larger range of values, select a knob. Okay, so you can select a button or a screen. Now, I don't know if we've actually gone over how to select a button or a screen. I don't remember us doing that at any point, but let me see if I could find like maybe that one. Maybe this could be our articulation. Now, this is a bit kind of unnerving because it doesn't look like anything that we would think to be, you know, a smart control GUI, but this is all just, you know, computer information, so it doesn't really matter which one we choose. Let me see if I could select pop strings, key switch. This looks a little better, but not exactly what I'm looking for. And so we're just trying to look for some kind of on and off switch. Okay, maybe that one. I don't know. I'll give it a spin. We'll see how it goes. So it's unmapped. Okay. I can see that it's unmapped. And what happens next? In the Smart Control Selector, click Parameter Mapping. Okay, so it is there. We're ready to go. And then it says, click the parameter name, then choose non-automotive. I can't even say that. Automotive. Okay, you guys throw that out there. Automatable. Automatable. There we go. Cool. Yeah, my tongue wasn't rolling there, but we got it. Automatable. All right, so then we're going to choose non-automatable main articulation ID from the pop-up menu. Okay, geez. Let's go here. Don't see it. Where'd it go? Boom. Non-automatable articulation. Roger that. Boom. All right, we got something, right? And it's saying, hey, do you want sustain, the minimum value? And when we get to the maximum, let's go to tremolo, right? We can switch this, obviously. I would hope so. Yeah, looks like every single articulation is set here, so that's pretty sweet. And then it changes over time. So here, let's click on that, and let me play this out. Don't hear anything. Don't hear anything. Why not? Hold on. Oh, I'm outside of range. Okay, just woke up. Let's try this again. Let's go! Good job. All right, yeah. So look, when you get this stuff right, which I know you will because you are extremely bright and we are going places, the main thing is that you celebrate. It doesn't have to be anything outlandish, but you have to recognize your progress, right? So one small step, but you never know what this is going to do. This could be the first seed in a series of seeds that you plant, which completely change and alter the course of your mind, life, spirit. So keep pushing, all right? All right, so look, we just set up an articulation. That was pretty easy. Yeah, world is yours, my good friends. All right, so then now we set that up, and we can set the range if you wanted to. I'm digging what's going on here, so I'm not going to change it. But you can see the value here, right? You can change all the articulations by manipulating the screen control. Now, this is just a toggle between one or the other. Of course, we can set up more and more and more and more. I wonder what would happen if we switched between, let's say, this one and then another one. I don't know, but let's try it just for fun. So I'm going to add another mapping, okay? This one is unmapped, all right? And let's recognize that we have to go to non-automatable and then go to main and then go to articulation. And then I'll do the same thing here, but let's choose some new articulation. So I'll do fall long, and I want to do something that's the trill. So here, oh wait, did I choose? Oh yeah. All right, so let's see what happens. All right, so it's honoring that mapping, but what about the previous one I had? Yeah, it looks like we cannot have more than one. So that's cool. Let me delete this one though. What I'm curious about though is like, let's say I map another one, kind of separate from the original. Add mapping. Let's do this one last time. Main articulation. This time I'll go sustain and not tremolo, but let's do pizzicato. All right, let's see what happens here. Boom. Oh, looks like they're both gonna play. Nope. Yeah, it's almost like they just supersede each other, because I guess it's like the last MIDI message that the plugin gets, and so yeah. So anyway, that's cool. Good to know that we can switch between two. What if we wanted three though? Wouldn't that be fascinating, right? So let's try three here. So again, I'll go main. Let's do wait, hold on. Nine. There we go. Boom. Articulation. So I guess I'll just do sustain on this first one just to not confuse myself. All right, good. Then we'll add a mapping. So as of now, we should be hearing just sustain. All right, good. Then let me go to this one here. And oh wait, yeah, this is gonna be weird. Not sure how this is gonna work. It seems like it just, you can only toggle back and forth, which is kind of limiting if you think about it. What if you wanted to do more than one? Let's go back here and let's see if there's anything. No, it's just showing us that that's all we can do. To switch between two valleys. Well, what if you wanted to switch between three valleys? There's got to be some kind of solution, right? All right, well, I guess we will have to save that for another day because we're not getting any more information. It would be nice if we had, various buttons and ways to switch this. Let me do something for kicks. I'm gonna take this out and then I will go back to it. Let me just delete the whole track. I'm just curious if there's anything custom. Like for example, if I go into the library, right, and I type in studio strings. All right, let me click on that. Okay, so how did they make these, right? So now this becomes a study. So now they switched it up on us. Unless it's in the user guide, a little bit later. Let's just study this really quick. So this one's legato. They mapped pizzicato. Oh, this is actually kind of what I was doing. And then they mapped this one to strictly staccato. So, cool. So that's nice. Now we can switch back and forth. So this is how you do it. You just want to switch and create these non-automatable articulation buttons. And that's pretty much it. I still am not exactly clear on how to create these buttons, but if you just go I don't see an option, but if you just check out the factory layouts, strings is going to get you there because they have 4 articulations. And I think 4 is a pretty fair number. We can see that the parameters besides that are warmth, which is obviously going to affect EQ, as you can see right there. You see how it's making the strings quote unquote warmer? Well, all it's doing is it's adding some mid, low, and some high mids there, and then it's taking off the edge. I'm assuming that is the compressor's attack. Let's see. I don't see. Oh, it's turning off the exciter. You can see that in the channel strip. Let me close the library. The compressor is going to do what? Show me. Yeah, the threshold's going to push down in case you wanted to make this a little smaller in terms of dynamics. And then lastly, the reverb is going to affect the bus. Let's corroborate that. Yeah, as you can see here on the left-hand side. See, as I no reverb, and then as I go up, that's cool. All right, so that's pretty cool. We are going to talk about assigning hardware controls to screen controls when we come back from a word from our sponsors. Now, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments, and I'm happy to answer when we get back. Let's go. Logic Pro User guide, Eddie Gray at your service. And look, we're on page 631, so that's pretty cool. We're going to be talking about assigning hardware controls to screen controls. So yeah, we've set up the plugin parameters, right? So now if I want to assign anything, it could be reverb, it could be saturation, it could be anything. Now I'm going to map that to a controller, right? So we're going to make it real so that when we're writing music, performing live, everything is right in front of us and we can control literally any parameter. No limit. Sweet. My name's Eddie Gray. I'm your host. I've been doing this for so many weeks. If you appreciate the content, just do me a favor and sub. Hit that notification bell. Send this to one person. You can even just take a quick screenshot of me. Boom. I'll just post for you really quick. And then after you take that, you just share it across the web, and that's it. We'll call it even. But the idea here is that we are contributing to what I like to call the modern creative. What is the modern creative? You've got the traditions of the past. We're talking the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? This job of being a producer, not necessarily an old job. It's not like you were a swordsman or, I don't know, you made shoes or something. This is a brand new job that's only been around for 50, 60, I think maybe 70 years. And so the rules are changing rapidly, just like everything is changing rapidly. And because of this, I want to share this information in a new way, in a condensed way that my fellow creatives can understand. And, we can kind of move the ball forward because it's up to us, right? It's our responsibility as we change and evolve with music to take it to the next level. And where that is, nobody knows. But regardless, if we conduct ourselves like professionals, we do the day's work and we keep coming back, right? No matter what, we just keep committing to our love of the game. Because if you really love this, it's really not about all the other stuff that everybody says it's about, right? It's not about the notoriety. It's not about the fame. It's not about the money and all that. And that's great if you got all or any of those, but what is the most important and what has always been the most important is just your connection to the music. So if music is your life like it is mine, then stay tuned. We're going to cover the whole Logic user guide. The purpose being, I just want to be clear about the intention. I want you to utilize the DAW like you do an instrument. I want you to be the very best DAW instrumentalist. So when you play Logic now, you play it from your soul, right? And you know everything. You know how to do anything and everything. So when the job calls you, so when the studio calls you, so when the artist calls you, so when you get that email to come in, you crush it. I just want to be clear. When you know everything that there is to know and you practice everything that you need to practice, then we going home. Like you're going to nail it. Do you understand me? You are going to nail it. But you got to learn the program. So let's get back into it. My name's Eddie Gray. This is all brought to you by hfmusicacademy.com. So look, we're talking about assigning hardware controls to screen controls. And if you're appreciating this, again, just hit that like button and let's go. To use smart controls with a MIDI controller, you assign hardware controls on the controllers. So I have a couple of MIDI controllers here with faders, with knobs, with buttons. Or you can have drum pads. This can be something like a circuit or a machine in MIDI mode. You can have pedals, so like a sustain pedal, expression pedal. It's limitless what you can do here, okay? That's the beauty of MIDI. So after we assign a hardware control, a knob, a slider, a button to a screen control, the screen control receives a MIDI message from the hardware controller. So it's a pretty simple relationship when we're talking about all this stuff. So we should go over a couple of things. We always talk about just learning the info that's necessary. So in this case, it's right here. You can assign hardware controls to screen controls. We know how to do that. But the important part is right here, my good friends. Only one screen control can be selected at a time, and each screen control can have only one assignment. All right, boom. Thank you, Logic. Right? You just made my life easier. I don't have to fight the process. It's like they're letting you know, hey, one screen control can be selected at one time, right? Each one of these controls can only have one assignment. So if you have a rotary knob, it's only going to be able to utilize one assignment. When you assign a hardware control, it keeps the assignment for all Logic Pro projects. Whoa, let's go. This is important. If you assign, let's say the play function inside of Logic to one of your buttons on your MIDI controller, and then you're wondering, like, I don't know, you change it to something else, and then you're like, oh, why isn't it playing anymore, right? That's because it keeps the assignment for everything. So this is global until you reassign it. So in the case of my circuit, for example, here, let me see if I can check you guys out. Here we go. All right. So like with this controller that I have here, let's see, can you guys see it? I'm going to have to stretch this out. I'm going to pull it out. Here we go. All right. So I brought this out before. You guys are checking out the circuit here. Easy to play, right? I have AQA, Automation Quick Access, on this button here. Always assigned to that. I've showed you that before. Verb 1 and 2, so both configured on these knobs, right, from 0 to 127. And I just want to be clear that Logic doesn't read it as reverb 1 and 2. It reads it as bus number 1 and bus number 2. So I could have a delay, I can have parallel compression, whatever, and Logic doesn't know that it's any different. So really this is bus 1, bus 2, bus 3, bus 4, bus 5, bus 6. At that point, I don't really need any other parameters, I got to be honest. Right? Like how many effects are you going to use in a session? Like for me, on any single channel strip, I'm using 1, 2, 3, probably 4 at most. So I figured I won't use any more than that. Now, my secret trick, which I'm going to give to you guys because I love you and I want you to win, I don't want you to waste any time. Let's condense the years and let's make progress now, today. So what I like to do is map this control and this to a low cut high pass and a high cut low pass. And the reason that is because I do it all the time. I mean, how many times are you creating low cuts for low end information, band passes, right? So I could just access that right away with just that one move. I usually do it with 2 hands. Or just, you have some high brittle stuff and then you just create a high cut just like that. You don't have to use your hands all the time for everything. If you have a disposable controller, ideally you want something with a couple of knobs and sliders, something like the Launch XL control, I think this is called. Yeah, it's a really nice controller because, it never ends. You have enough knobs and faders for everything. But if you just have a MIDI controller with one modulation wheel, that can be your AQA, and you can assign that to whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So I think that's it. So we're about to take some of the mappings, could be anything, and we're going to literally map to one of these controllers. I'm not going to do it to this one. I'm going to do it to the one I have down here because I already have this mapped. And as we can just read, right, it keeps the assignment for all Logic projects, and I don't want to change my workflow. So with that being said, let me plug this in. All right. Very good, very good. Happy Tuesday, y'all. Hope you're doing well. Stay in your frequency. Don't let them get you out. All right, very cool, very cool. And always stay in beast mode. Let's go. That's that morning line. Whoever's getting up right now, they're just barely getting up. It's like we've been crushing it for the last hour, right? We've just been slaying dragons. All right, let's start getting into these details here. Boom, here we go. All right. So we are going to select a screen control and then go into external assignment. All right. Look at the illustration. It says here at the bottom, there's a disclosure triangle right there. We're going to hit that. Then we're going to hit learn. We'll turn the rotary knob or the necessary fader. And then we have, in fact, assigned our first external assignment. Of course, we can rename, it looks like. And if the selected control has an assignment, the name field shows the name of the assignment. On your MIDI device, move the control you want to assign after you hit learn. Now this is with the understanding that we've already done the parameter mapping. So it works in this order. Do the parameter mapping first between the software and smart controls, and then after you do that, then you can assign the hardware or the external assignment. And it has to be a fader, a rotary knob, some kind of MIDI note on and off message. So do your homework. I'm sure you'll get it, and just experiment. While the learn process is active, you can learn additional controller assignments by selecting another screen control. So, oh, by the way, this is a nice tip. You don't have to like always stop and go. You could do it all in one fell swoop. So maybe I'll show you that as well. And then when you're finished, you can click the learn button and that should turn off. Okie doke. So let's see. What is this? What did I write here? Hold on. Oh, did I change that instrument? Oops, I wasn't trying to do that. Forgot. Let me go back to Serum. All right, cool. Let me go into their plucks and find something that sounds decent here. Checking sound. All right, cool. All right, so here, to my point, this is a bit of a brittle sound. So I'm using that same controller that I showed you a second ago, and I'm turning that knob. I didn't map anything because I've already done the work and Logic remembers. So then now this synthesizer is not as tinny, if you will, or as metallic. Check it out. So now in the same vein, I'll do the low cut. Now this specific patch did not have this bandpass on, so I have to turn it on before I create the rest of my EQ decision. Right, and that could be something that you automate as well. So that is cool. Let's see. What else do I want to do? I think that is good with me. Let me go ahead and now that we're not using strings anymore, if you're late to the party, we had a whole section here where we did all sorts of stuff. Let me change this icon so we're not confusing ourselves. Sweet. Let me change the GUI so we kind of bring it back to normal here. Okay, this looks good. This looks like some, hardware or something. And so we're on the synthesizer. I've turned on smart controls. Let me go ahead and get rid of that EQ. And we're ready to start the mapping process. So I think what I'm going to do to make this easy is I'm going to map this there. So, actually, I'll just do it here since it's currently unmapped. So let me hit learn, and then I'll click on that, and you can see that it's done it, right? And then this is supposed to stay on. I don't know if this behavior has recently changed, but based on what we've been reading in the user guide, it doesn't really stay on. So if you find that to be different, please let me know. But let me just change one more parameter. I guess I'll do that one for now. Okay, so I've got this one, yeah? All right. And then what I'm gonna do is not assign this to the same circuit controller. I'm gonna do this to a different parameter on a separate MIDI controller. And so we've already learned the parameter mapping. I'm not gonna change any of those settings. The only thing left to do now, my good friends, is to assign. I hit learn. Bear in mind, it is in key focus. How do I know? Look at the blue rim, not the one I'm drawing, but the one underneath that. It is in focus. When you check out your DAW, you'll see what I mean, okay? Then when I hit learn, it's pretty basic from here, my good friends. I'm going to hit learn. I'm going to turn that rotary knob or hit the slider, and we're home free. Okay, so I'm literally... Oh, so there, look, the learn function stays on with external assignment. Maybe that's what it is. Here, let me hit learn with this one now. All right, cool. So that's what they mean. So inside of external assignment, you can go back and forth. So here I'm turning one slider. Okay, notice my mouse is still on the screen, so I'm not using my mouse. I'm using a MIDI slider, and here's the other one. Wait, where did I map the other one? Wait, did I replace the mapping? Oops, I think I skipped over the other one. All right, hold on. Let me go back. So I'm going to hit learn here. Yeah, looks like I went over that. Okay, I'll hit learn. And now I have this one. And why is this one unmapped now? Oh, wait. Seems to be a little bit shoddy. Let me just try that one more time. Okay, so mapped one, and then hopefully this works and responds to this one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So this may take a second, just throwing it out there, but that's how you do it. Let's see if there's any other details that we need to pay attention to. When you're working with Smart Control, you may want to compare your edits to the save setting to hear how your changes affect the sound. All right, so they're just giving you the heads up, hey, some of these things may not translate. The compare function only compare changes to the parameters to which screen controls are mapped. Other parameter changes are not included in the comparison. So what are they talking about here? Compare your edits to the save Smart Control setting. In Logic Pro, click the compare button in the Smart Controls menu. To return to the edited version, click the compare button again. So if we go here, we can literally make an entire decision based on everything that we've moved. So here is the after, and here is, I guess, the before. It's probably the other way around, but you get the point. We can A, B a suggestion. So here's one setting. Check it out. Yeah, the other one's a little bit tinny for my taste. Let's see if I make some more decisions, like I'll exaggerate. Let's go something like that. All right. Let's see if I hit compare now. So it seems to go back to the original, which is that. Not sure what determines the default. Like, for example, I guess I could just start from scratch. Like, I turn on an EQ, right? And so it doesn't really know at this point. I mean, I haven't made any major decisions, yeah? So then let's go back to controls. I'll open up parameter mapping. Let's see if I can map all controls. Okay, so it has the compressor. I was hoping it was going to choose the EQ. That's another confusing part of this, like mapping. Like, how come it, like, how does it know what to choose, and what's dictating those decisions? But anyway, let's bring up the EQ one more time, and then we'll let's see. We'll learn just a quick map. I'll do learn, and I guess I'll just do. Let's do a low shelf, or a high shelf rather. All right, good. So this is going to cut that. Sweet. And then on top of that, I want it to, let me see, I want it to move this as well. So then I'll add a mapping, add mapping. Cool. This one there, and I will learn that. So that's the high shelf frequency. Okay. So you can see that learn has been turned off. And then now, there we go. That's what I was looking for, something like that. Okay. I could make better adjustments, but that's kind of the idea. So then now we've done that, and then we understand that if we want to externally assign this, so again, we just hit learn, and we are home free. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh yeah, this is compare thing I want to check out. So what determines the state of this? Yeah, I think it's just whatever the user default is. So like if I make an adjustment right now, right, something like that, if I hit compare, this is my user default. So I think it has to do with that. I don't know, maybe if I make some more changes. Oh, I got it. Okay, so check this out. So I don't know, I think this could have been better explained in here, unless I didn't understand it properly. You want to compare your edits to save. Compare function only compares changes to the parameters, to which screen controls are mapped. So again, I think this could be worded a little bit differently, but the idea is that if you're making changes within the plugin, those will be fixed. But if I make changes inside of Smart Controls, for example, I'm using this, let's see, this trick here, right? And I hit compare, it will go back to the previous settings, either the user default that I set up or if I set up any changes inside of the plugin, right? So I hit compare. This is what we looked at before. Let me go ahead and drop the mids, okay? I'll hit compare one more time, right? So now it's looking at what I did inside of Smart Controls. I'll hit compare again, and then you can see this is the default. So to be clear, any changes that you make inside the plugin are unique unto themselves. And if you're making any changes inside of Smart Controls, then you can use the compare function in a respective and comparable way. So it just depends on how you want to do this. Now, bear in mind, this will differ from the changes inside of compare within the actual plugin. So there's a lot of little features here. You'll get used to it. Right, what we're doing here is we're just opening up your mind and planting seeds. All right, using the arpeggiator. Let me see if we have enough time to crush this so we can get this chapter. Yeah, we do have time. So let's get right into it. We're going to be covering the arpeggiator at length, my good friends. So happy to be here. Let me talk to you guys. Hope you are well. My name is Eddie Gray. I'm telling you, we're going to take your game to the next level, but you got to get your reps in. If I'm doing the work, you got to do the work too. It's really that simple. Just show up all the time, show up every day, 6 days a week. And I'm telling you that what's going to happen is that you're going to make significant progress, but you got to show up. And then outside of our session time here, right? Because this is time that I designate for you so that you could win. All right. Outside of session time, you want to make sure that you're getting your work in. It's not enough just to watch some guy on YouTube talk. That's just simply not going to be enough. What's going to make the difference is that you're here, we take the notes, you do the work, you apply outside. So I'll require just a minimum of 1 hour outside of our time together. All right. And if you have questions, again, you can hit us up in the comments, or you can also hit up support at hfmusicacademy.com. Now we're going to finish off by using the arpeggiator. This is an incredible tool. Let's go. You can use the arpeggiator MIDI plugin with Smart Controls on a software instrument. When you turn on the arpeggiator, chords you play on the keyboard are arpeggiated or played one note at a time rather than simultaneously. Really, really nice feature. If you don't know about it, just stay tuned. After you turn on the arpeggiator pop-up menu appears in the menu bar. I've told you guys before that inside of Smart Controls on the right-hand side, you can see an arpeggiator icon. You can hit that. It will instantiate within the channel strip MIDI effects, and we can get this thing going. You can choose an arpeggiator preset, which is probably the best way to learn, and adjust arpeggiator settings, including the note order, right? How it plays back, the range, octave range, which differs from note range, and then a host of other features as well. You can also open the Arpeggiator MIDI plugin window to make further changes. All right, let's get into it. Turning on the Arpeggiator Logic Pro page 633. Can you believe it? You got to love it. All right, let's go. So as mentioned, you're going to see this icon. This represents the arpeggiator inside of Smart Controls, and as mentioned, this will instantiate the arpeggiator inside of MIDI effects. All right, we're going to choose a preset to start. It's probably the easiest way of going about it. Then we'll open up the arpeggiator settings. I'll talk to you about note order, right? When it plays back, how is it going to play back? Is it like from low to high, high to low? Will it be random? Note range, we can determine the value based on the tempo of the song. And finally, the octave range. Okay, we can also just instantiate this plugin by going to the MIDI effects section inside of the channel strip. All right, this all looks good. Choose yes, Smart Controls menu. Okay, and then I will come back to this in a second. So wow, that was everything on Smart Controls. Roger that. All right, so let's fill in the blanks here. Here, let's play back what we have thus far. Here we go. All right, very good. So now we're determining that we want some new sounds. I'm not sure if we're going to use the same line because it's, I don't know, kind of an arpeggiated thing to begin with. So I'm going to choose a new track alternative. You can go back to some of the previous videos to learn about that. And then right here on the right-hand side, there's the arpeggiator icon. I'll click that one time over, and check this out, my good friends. I can literally just select presets from right here. Now, in order for this to really work effectively, I have to create some note information. So why don't I just hold one note, and I'll show you a really fancy way of doing this really quick. So I'm going to quantize here. This is why you're here. This is why you're not just spending time reading the manual yourself. Give you some real world information. Okay, so here we go. All right, played the information. I hit Shift R, and that recorded the information. Now, bear in mind, before I did that, I actually input quantized the information so that regardless how out of time you play, right, it's on the money. Now, it may be on time, but off of the proper grid. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. See how the MIDI is a little bit over here, a little bit over there. So it all looks pretty cool, except there's some MIDI overlaps. So I'm going to hit Command A, I'll hold Shift, and then I'll hit backslash, and that got rid of the overlaps. And then this one here needs forced legato, so it gets to the end of the phrase. I can always adjust it as well, but I'm just trying to get fancy, right? So we're going to go forced legato right there. Wait, was it not that one? Maybe it was this one. Come on. You're not going to do it? Forced legato. Let's go. Nope. One last time. Boom. No. All right. Boom. All right. So without the arpeggiator, obviously it's just going to sound simple, right? One note like this. But with the arpeggiator, all right, very good. So then now I'm going to select a preset from the preset menu. Now we could do this inside of the MIDI effects plugin. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving you another workflow here because you're not always going to need it. So this is where I can determine the note order, right? How it plays. Now I'm just playing one note, so you're not really going to hear the significance here. So I'll come back to this one, but the rate is what's important. Let's just do eighth notes. Here we go. All right, that sounds pretty sweet. I'll take it. And then in terms of adding a little bit of swing, I would like that too. Octave range also doesn't apply because I'm playing just a single note here. So I don't want to open the arpeggiator yet. What I'm going to look for is a cool preset. So let's just check these out. Woo! Let's go! That sounds awesome, right? All right, cool. Let's get back in here. Wow. Sounding like a genius. Who is going to be the next Mozart? Let's go! I'm looking for you. I'm going to find you. All right, so it's pretty simple, right? Just selected that. Pretty easy. So, again, you know, sometimes you just land on stuff and it works. There's a ton of material here, my good friends. So I'm not going to go through it all, but I do want to point out if you want to throw in some swing, then we probably should look at the actual arpeggiator because that actually may make a difference. So I'm going to go into that menu, open the arpeggiator from here. Hello. All right, good. Now you may have noticed that my plugin behavior is acting a little bit different than yours, right? My screen is not clouded with various plugins, and that's simply because I have link mode on, and this right here is determining how the plugins open and close. So go ahead and try this out. It's a really nice feature. All right, so that being said, feeling good today. Happy Tuesday. We're gonna play with some of the features in here, and there's a lot to look at, but in order to really utilize this, we're going to have to play more than one note. But before we get to that, I want to show you that inside of options, I can actually play with the note length. So check this out. We can determine the velocity, right? We can say, hey, I want every single note to be 127, 100% of the time. Let's check this out. Right, so it just depends on how you want the feel to react. Now we can randomize that if you want to. And then what I'm going to do, my good friends, is I'm going to play with the swing. And if you know swing, you're basically playing with the second and fourth note of every single passage. And it just sounds groovy. It sounds hard. That's the best way I can describe it. So let's go ahead and press play and listen to this. All right, so like pedal to the metal, the machine version, right? Everything's perfect. Sounds like this. Which, by the way, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying sometimes you just want to change up the feel. Let me exaggerate and make this grotesque. Check it out. Woo! Yep. Let's go, guys. I'm going home. That sounds really good. I love that preset. Hey, take note, Arcade Trills. You heard it first right here. Resources for the modern creative. Go ahead and sub. So that's pretty much it, my good friends. You know what? As promised, right? Let me go ahead and join these. Hit J, and basically, I'm gonna create another note and see if we can hack the system here. Let's see if we could just do. Wait, is this gonna be in? Hold on, I need to see some. All right, good. I was just seeing if this was a monophonic synth. So I guess let me just bring these up an octave for now. So A3. Let's see here. Okay, good. So now I have two of these going on at the same time. You could also do. Let's see, what note was this? A. You could also do a fifth. So let's see, maybe I'll do that for fun. So that's an E. Let's see if I could bring this E. All right, let's see what this sounds like. All right, good. So let's play with the note information. This time I'll go down. Let's see what this sounds like. You know what? This may be skewed because of this pattern. Let me just make sure. Yeah, you're not able to really hear the detail. So I'm going to go back to the pattern and let me just recall default. Okay, so let's listen to just the standard stuff here. All right, so that's just going up, up, up. Let's hear down. Yeah. All right. And basically, look, you can go back and forth too. And this can be something that you set inside of smart controls. Let's go. All right. Are you guys putting it together here? Right? Because anything is possible. As long as you take the information and you start applying it, I am telling you, no limits. Let's keep going. This can be up and down as well. Now, notice the rate is determining the speed. So if you like that feel, take some notes. And then, of course, remember that I played with swing as well. Let's go back to the pattern. This is the up and down note order. Here we go. Yeah. That's crazy. And this is down and up. All right, let's randomize. It's a little crazy. And then you could like resample that if you wanted to. We have no time to talk about that, but for those of you who are seasoned. And then finally, this one is as played, right? And I can lock that if I want to. Now, the idea here is depending on where my fingers lied when I played this out. Now, look, I only have 2 notes here, so this is not as significant. I think this would work better if you had 3 or more notes. But the idea is, like, if my index finger landed first and then the thumb landed after, it would play it in that sequence. All right, let's see if it made a difference here. I mean, I programmed everything in, so I'm not sure how that would factor in, but let's check it out. Very cool. All right, variation. We'll just create some different grooves. Check it out. And then the octave range will limit how this plays back, so it won't sound as high. Check it out. I love it. This sounds really good. We can clear everything. I'm not about to clear any of this. I'm really digging the sound. And my favorite part out of this whole bit, there's a lot of other things that we can look at and touch on later. The most important being this options tab, where we can control the swing, velocity, and note length, because I can make these notes a little bit shorter too. Check it out. I love it. And then pattern. Check this one out. This one right here is the one. Now, we talked about all the various presets. That's sweet, but look, you could configure your own as well. So I want to do a 4-part pattern that goes up, right, exponentially over time. And then on every 4th, I'm basically creating a chord. I believe it's triads, but you might want to double check that. But here we go. Listen to this pattern. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's say I wanted to make it an 8-note pattern, but take out number 5, right? So let's check this out. And then, oh, wait, I want to erase that one, go high, and then back to low. Let's see what this sounds like. All right, cool. Let me just reduce that to 0. Let's check it. All right, maybe I'll turn these 2 off as well. Let's see what this sounds like. So you can designate the pattern is what I'm basically trying to tell you. Let me do every other one, see what that sounds like. Gotta love it. Very good, my good friends. And if you don't want to play with the grid, you could just use live, and I basically will just take advantage of whatever I am playing. So take a listen to this. So that's just 3 notes. Here's 4. I think 4. Hold on, let's see. Right, so it's just whatever you're actually playing will show up there, but I love grid. All right, let's finish up here. I think there was one more piece of information that we have to go over. You can automate the movements of screen control just as you can automate plugin parameters. All right, we can automate the movements of these screen controls, good people. When you automate a screen control, the actual screen control movements rather than underlying parameter values are. So this is important because we can automate these screen controls, and it's going to be a little bit different than if we just used the underlying parameter value, right? So you can also write this in using your hardware controller or using smart controls. Automation for multi-map screen controls is retained even when underlying plugins change or are removed. So if you happen to change something, this stuff is going to stay. However, if all the plugins to which the screen control is mapped are removed, the automation is deleted. All right, so they're giving you a little, just like, hey, just a heads up. All right, if it doesn't work out, it's because you removed all of the plugins. If you keep the plugins but change, let's see, when the underlying plugins are changed or removed. Wait, that sounds contradictory. The automation screen control is retained even when the underlying plugin is changed or removed. Okay, that makes sense. What about this? However, if all the plugins to which the screen, so it's saying if all of the plugins, so you, as long as one is on there, then it should stay. Let's see if we can test this. I don't remember. Yeah, okay. So I'll take out, I guess not serum, the compressor. All right, so if I take out the compressor, no, everything from the compressor was removed. I don't know if that's true. Let me bypass it. Okay, I guess if you bypass it, it's all still there, but that's not what they're saying here. Even when the underlying plugin is changed or removed. Let me change the compressor, or like let me remove the EQ, for example, and you should see, I think those parameters are, I think this is null and void. Yeah, I don't think this is a true statement. I may be wrong on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and scratch it just to be sure. All right, very cool. My good friends, page 635. The next time I see you, what are we covering, Eddie Gray? All right, we're going to be covering live loops. If you don't know, live loops is actually one of my specialties. If you haven't seen the live loops videos that I've put out on YouTube, they basically go over everything. But if you want all the nitty gritty, because you know I always bring my A game, then you're going to want to check out my course, Learning Live Loops, and that's on hfmusicacademy.com, okay? All right, so basically we're going over live loops, how to use it for live performance, how to use it to DJ, right? We're going over all of the behavior. So if this has been a point of contention for you, I am looking forward to seeing you next time. I salute you for doing the work. It's never easy, and there are days that are better than others, but we keep showing up because that's what we do, right? We love the work. So you got to get into it, right? Keep pushing, keep growing, keep learning, keep evolving. Be you and keep your frequency high. Let's go.